Are we live?
Yes, we are.
All right. To start with, it's been a very boring day. For the last 2 weeks, so much of action has
And
been
then no match,
happening.
suddenly.
And then
No
suddenly, you wait. You wait for the semi-finals
Which
to
is
start
2
on
days away now.
9th of November will be the first semi-final. That would be in Sydney. Pakistan versus New Zealand. New Zealand, of course, they were the first team to reach the semi-finals, but Pakistan made a miraculous entry. Obviously, courtesy.
Netherlands and South Africa.
One can say either Pakistan made a miraculous entry or South Africa made a miraculous exit.
True.
Shocking exit.
But our focus has been on the India-England semi-final. That's on 10th in Adelaide, at the Adelaide Oval. Of course, India has already played a game there. That was against Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was against Bangladesh. Of course,
Yeah.
there was a few tense moments in that game as well. But we thought, why wait till 10th of November? Let's decide here.
Absolutely.
Who's a better team? No?
Absolutely. Let's actually go for it. And I think Beast YT points out something interesting. He's saying that England have a certain Benjamin Andrew Stokes or Sir Ben Stokes, who's a proven match winner from any situation.
I know there are a few players who perhaps are born to do miracles.
Yeah.
He's that clutch player.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, perhaps just like, in India, there's a certain Virat Kohli who thrives on these moments. You got an equivalent in the opposition side, and that's Ben Stokes for me. There's no bigger match player. He thrives on these moments. And just like it's these players, who wait for these occasions to come and then deliver their best. We've not had that, startling performance of sorts from Ben Stokes as yet, and that could not be a good sign for India.
Manikant Reddy Mutyala. Just wait. He's saying if India gets knocked out in the semi-final or in the final, please don't show heroes from outside the 11. I think he's referring to the players who've been benched, right?
Benched, or the players who unfortunately either got injured.
Benched or who are not part of the
11.
squad. So India versus England, there are of course India has the momentum. They've won big against Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And England, on the other hand, by the way, they played Sri Lanka in their last game.
Right.
Yeah.
And
trudged over the line.
There were a few tense moments in that game as well. But as mentioned by Beast YT, right?
Yeah, Beast YT. Yeah.
He said Ben Stokes. Yeah.
And I hate saying it, but the kind of form he's been in, it's just perfectly setting up for him to hit a final ball 6 and win the tournament.
Well,
Because he's been in poor form. Clutch situation, something happens to that man.
I think there are a few players who are made to do big things
Exactly.
on big occasions.
Yeah.
He is one of those. Every time there's a situation, there's a big occasion, like the 2019 World Cup final. He's there.
Yeah,
He is
always
there.
in the thick of it.
Even the 2016 World Cup final, T20 World Cup.
He was there, just on the wrong end.
Yeah,
Just at the wrong end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was there.
involved. Yeah.
Yeah, he was there.
Or the heading test.
I
think that's defined his legend.
Yeah.
So that's one aspect of
Ben Stokes.
Ben Stokes. If there is a situation that's demanding, Ben Stokes usually is there. But
What
even
plans
the Indian,
as, let's say, since we are building up to the match and we're talking about matchups here, what plans can India really have for somebody as dynamic as Ben Stokes? Somebody who we really have not seen much of. How do you sort of, plan around a player who can be lethal come the day, come the moment, but has not fired yet?
Interesting, actually.
So we don't really know weakness of his as of now. What's happening with it? Because we know he's got every shot in the book. He can do anything on his day.
So we have Nikhil Bhai with us.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
We are now
Why
joined
don't we
by.
throw that question to him then.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Nikhil. Can you hear us?
Not only can I hear you, I can hear the hardworking Saransh also saying that I've just joined. So I can hear everybody.
So I think the weather has changed quite a lot since you last visited Adelaide, no? In a matter of say about 7 days or 5 7 days.
Yes, just check out the t-shirt that I'm wearing. Yeah, and this is the same place where I was wearing 2 layers and still shivering. That's how cold it was. It was colder than peak
We actually
Delhi winter.
can't see you because Saransh I don't think has put you out on air. So, oh,
there
now,
we go.
Yes, we do.
Oh.
yeah.
So I'm saying, just look at the t-shirt that I'm wearing. Behind me, you can see the beautiful Adelaide skyline. There it is. Huh? So this is Adelaide City right behind you. There you go. And this is the same city where I was wearing 2 layers of clothes and still shivering
Yeah.
in that game. And it was colder than the usual Delhi cold that we get. But now it feels like proper Australian summer. And so my t-shirts are out. Yeah, so that's the bit with the weather. I'm feeling better. I wonder how that is going to play out in terms of the playing condition. But I think Indians will like it because we heard it last time. Shakib Al Hasan was here in that India-Bangladesh game, and he said that these are not conditions that people from subcontinent prefer. So India being the same, I think England would have enjoyed colder conditions, but now that it's nice and hot and summer-like, I think Indians would enjoy that.
True. We started this conversation because it's been a boring day, to be very honest. For the last 2 weeks, so much action has been happening. Matches after matches. There have been days when you've had 3 matches in a day. For us, at least, it was actually a boring day. So we thought, what to do, and we were waiting for. Of course, everybody is waiting for that semi-final on 9th and 10th, both the days. But we thought, why wait till then? Let's decide which is the better team, India or England. But I think you make a valid point that these are conditions that India would enjoy.
Yeah, I think they will hotter conditions, and then not only will India like the weather, they also like the fact that they are in Adelaide, a ground where Virat Kohli is invincible. They would have carried some good memories of a very close encounter with Bangladesh recently. And on top of that, it's also a venue that's very special for Indian coach Rahul Dravid. So he mentioned that India winning this famous Test match in 2003. So and for Virat, I think his back-to-back hundreds in Adelaide. I think his first Test 100 in Adelaide. And then that 100 against Pakistan he got in the 2015 World Cup. I was there covering that as well. So yeah, he loves it. He loves this ground. The Indian team will like it. And I think once again, they'll get a lot of support. So I met someone just now outside, and one of the cab drivers that we used, and he's from Pakistan. And he said that, I was out in the most busiest area of Adelaide in the evening, and the England team were there, and they were, they could walk around without being noticed. The only ones that were really, recognizing them, going for them for photographs and autographs were mostly Indian fans. So on that front, you can expect a full house of Indian fans. It's the World Cup semi-final. So all of those things go in India's favor. And I think, just to answer your question where you said, let's not beat around the bush and let's ask that valid question, which is a better team? I don't know which is the better team, because they're two evenly matched teams, very tough to pick one team. But I think the team that can falter more is England. So in terms of capabilities, I think it's pretty even. I might even put England slightly ahead in just man-to-man on paper. But if you were to ask me team that could bottle it under pressure, and if I had to pick that one team that can bottle under pressure, I may be tempted to pick England ahead of India. That makes India then the slight favorite for me going in this match.
Just to be the devil's advocate, in the last few years, if you see, England is the team that has played. I thought we lost him. Okay. England is perhaps the team which has played more big matches. You know, they've been at this stage on more number of times than India. No?
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But I mean, that 2019 final, very, very close call. So, I mean, it could have gone either way in that encounter. I know in that tournament, they came from behind. They were in a situation, it was a must-win situation. Team that was really favorite, they just struggled to make it to the semi-finals. So, but I think if you look at that World Cup, England started as the overwhelming favorites to lift the title. That's how much favorite they were, and they were playing at home. Despite having all the odds in their favor, yet it took an arm and a leg from their side, and a few lucky boundaries there, and then even then a boundary count, and all of those things to go in their favor, plenty of things to go in their favor for them to win. So all I'm saying is that they have to be so much better than the opposition to eventually go across the line. When it's an even contest, a very close contest, and they're not overwhelmingly favorites, then I'd be tempted to go with the other team.
No, actually picking up on a comment, we're talking about England here. We were talking about their strengths, weaknesses. We talked about their pace bowling. I think that's been one thing that's really stood out. But Adelaide, it's getting slightly warm. You might see spinners come into play. And there's one particular spinner in the English team who has, one of our commenters, Meet Soni, is pointing out, has troubled Virat Kohli more often than not. And that's Moeen Ali. So I think if you know, and considering the fact that you have someone like an Adil Rashid there as well, proven match winner, someone like Liam Livingstone can pitch in. Do you think that actually, puts things a little bit in favor of England? Because again, the Indian top order, funnily for some reason, struggles a little bit more against spin.
Another devil's advocate.
Yeah, actually, that's a proper devil's advocate question.
Yeah. We've got the full. Can you guys see me? Sorry, my screen just blanked out. So yeah, devil's advocate is usually the one that is the rare voice or the lone voice defending the indefendable. But here it's the other way around. So everyone's a devil's advocate. No, I'm saying I think it's a valid point in terms of spinners. What you guys are saying is absolutely correct. It's a very rare that Indian spinners don't go in as the better set of spinners in a match, and that too not to be the better set versus England. That is even more surprising. I think Akshar's form is that worrying bit. What's really not working for him is clearly the pitches here, because when he came into the Indian team, I think he covered that gap that Ravindra Jadeja had left. In fact, he more than covered it. He seemed to be the better T20 bowler. Even if you compare it to Ravindra Jadeja, I think the batting was that one area where I think Jadeja was slightly better than him. So he more than covered it up. But but this was spoken of even that time. So it's not in hindsight that people are saying that Akshar is not really working out. Many people had pointed out that his style of bowling, he usually bowls the quicker one. He doesn't really turn the ball much. It's the one that hits the lacquer, which really skids off the pitch and then gets wickets. So those are the things that work in his favor. In Australia, it may not happen where you get good bounce. But we were listening to Pragyan Oja earlier in the show, in the India Today show. He said that, listen, here, because of now with some dryness coming in, with some heat coming in, the ball might grip. So maybe to an extent that Akshar would be helped. But I think Adil Rashid, and I think the Indian team was preparing for it. So I take you back to the Zimbabwe game. And a lot of people were surprised, how is it that Rishabh Pant was brought in? I think it wasn't. Usually Indian team makes changes based on matchups, as in who's going to do well against one particular team. There was nothing to suggest that you needed a left-hander there in the Zimbabwe game instead of Dinesh Karthik. And I do not think that they dropped Dinesh Karthik because of his lack of runs. Because we heard from Rahul Dravid after the match where he said that, listen, just because someone was dropped in one game doesn't mean he cannot come back. But I think the reason they got Pant was precisely for this England game, where I think they needed a left-hander batsman for when Adil Rashid is going to bowl and the ball coming in there, and someone to tackle him, which is why they sent him up the order as well. So this was the plan that India had, and they said, instead of just unleashing him directly in the semi-final, and they somehow knew that they're going to be playing. I mean, it was pretty evident, unless a big upset, they were going to play England. So I think they planned for it, which is great. So they planned with Rishabh playing and tackling someone like Adil Rashid. They went with him. So I'm hoping he'd be the guy who can tackle him, considering if he plays the semi-final, signs are that he will. And Hardik Pandya, he's not even been in form, and he's kind of not done well against spinners, but those are the spinners that are taking the ball away from him. Moeen Ali bringing the ball in, we all know what Hardik Pandya does to off spinners, if you remember, right? Off spinners, usually balls dispatched outside the boundary. So I'm hoping if Moeen Ali comes, maybe send in Hardik a bit earlier, he can tackle him. And then, yes, Moeen's done well against Virat, but there's a new king in town, or a new hero in town. His name is Surya Kumar Yadav, right? So the way he tackles fast bowlers, spinners, I don't think England would be wary of him. You remember that 100 that he got in English conditions.
Yes.
But they know what they'll be up against. So I think plenty of firepower in the Indian batting to tackle those spinners.
You touched upon Surya Kumar Yadav, Nikhil. Just want to ask you a question on Surya only. How do you, as England, if I'm looking into now the semi-final, prepping for it now, how do you prepare for somebody like him? What sort of plans can you really have for a man who shuffles across the crease? He hits you over long on, he hits you over long off. He's the complete 360-degree player one can ask for.
And also
how
can play
do you plan
traditional
for a guy
shots
like him? And just to add to that, do England have it in them to counter somebody like Surya?
No, I do not think you can have a plan against a guy who says that he thinks of 3 different shots before the ball is bowled. That's what he just said. If the man is thinking of 3 different shots before a ball is bowled, I do not. So I'll take you back to that Zimbabwe press conference where we were listening to the Zimbabwe captain, and he made a very interesting thing. That question was actually asked for Virat Kohli, but I think it's more appropriate in Surya Kumar Yadav's case. Somebody asked him that, have you got, Virat is in good form, have you got any plans against him? And he said, listen, what do you make plans against a guy that is a step ahead of you? So he says, if you make certain plans against someone like a Virat, it's not that he cannot adjust. And he said the sign of a good player is that whatever plans you make, he will realize that and be a step ahead of you and quickly change his own game plan to counter your plan. So he spoke that about Virat Kohli. And in Virat's case, I think it's still easier to make plans because he's going to play orthodox, conventional cricket. Yeah. But what about someone who's as unconventional as Surya Kumar Yadav? I mean, I think for people who haven't watched him play live in a ground, that should be high on your bucket list, because you'll never really realize what Surya Kumar Yadav does while watching him on television. Because in television, you do not get a 360-degree view, but if you're watching him from the ground, you have to see the kind of things that he does. And those are certain things that I was noticing. I'm saying in the depth, give you an example, in the depth, what does a fast bowler do, right? So he has few options. Most fast bowlers do that. One, you will get the Yorker. Yeah. Other, you will get bowl outside the wide of off stump. Third is you will bowl that slower bouncer, right? These are 3 or 4 weapons that you see all good death bowlers use, right? So try and use any of this against a Surya Kumar Yadav. For everything, he has an answer. So for that slower bouncer, he will play that ramp shot over the third man, because you'll have the third man. I'm guessing that because you're bowling a slower bouncer, the batsman is going to connect towards mid wicket or square leg, somewhere there. You place the fielder there, so you bring the third man in and he hits you over third man. So he'll do exactly what you don't expect. Similarly, you go bowling outside the off stump, pack your field in such a way that now, how is it that if I'm bowling outside the off stump, anyone play near fine leg, right? So you'll bring the fine leg in. Clearly, that's the logical thing for any bowler to do. He will find a way to put his front foot outside the off stump and then yank it over fine leg. I mean, that's unthinkable. Exactly. The third option you will go with that, okay, I'll bowl a Yorker. So you try and get your length right. Not only does he shuffle in the crease, he takes that front foot so further up to play that scoop shot behind the keeper. Incredible. I mean, I'm just trying to think, if I was a bowler, what would I be doing? Tough to make plans.
Imagine there are players in this Indian team who don't play sweep shot against spinners, and then you have somebody like Surya Kumar Yadav who can
plays it on the first ball.
Exactly. Even
every single
a fast bowler. So that's actually, and at times I feel we say a lot about the kind of risk that he is taking, but I think he knows his field. He is actually minimizing the risk by playing those kind of shots, because he knows exactly where the fielder is. Even if he is, the ball is way outside his off stump, he's slicing it, or if he's scooping it over short fine leg or something. I think he is minimizing the risk by playing these kind of shots and placing them to somewhere where you don't have a fielder. So at times there is a risk, but then there is a bigger reward also.
Absolutely. I think nobody plays to the field better than Surya Kumar Yadav. I mean,
I agree.
which is why when you see his interview, he says he plans 3 different shots to one particular ball, and I mean, absolutely incredible the way he plays. I guess, I was just reading a story just to give you an idea. I don't know if you guys read. I was just reading somewhere that so we've been here in Australia. I haven't seen him practice much. He doesn't come to practice very often. Most practice sessions have been optional, but he's been in such tremendous touch that probably he doesn't need to really come. But you know what? I heard that he spent a lot of time. How did he prep for this T20 World Cup?
I know
So he
what you're talking about.
spent
Yeah.
a lot of time at the Parsi Gymkhana, and I've been to the Parsi Gymkhana. It's on Marine Drive. I spent some time there. So he would get his personal coach, throwdown experts, all of that in the Parsi Gymkhana, and he got green pitches prepared. So he wanted to play in seaming conditions, tougher conditions. Not only that, he would do a lot of match simulation. So, all things that I'm talking about, that he would do this to this ball, do that to this ball. It's not just a freak of nature. It's not just by coincidence. It's not just by chance. He's actually done match simulations to replicate exactly this. So he will make the field placement like that, then get the bowler or the throwdown expert to bowl exactly that, and then try and attempt those shots that you're seeing him play right now. I'm guessing he must have played them. And with the consistency that he plays those shots, it just tells you that he must have practiced them hundreds of times. And now we're getting to know that he spends months just leading before this T20 World Cup, trying all these shots. I know it's a big thing to say, but dare I say, I think he is the prototype of what a T20 batsman should be right now, which everyone needs to be following. Everyone else is still stuck in that time zone, and most batsmen, and I'm going to include all the best batsmen in the world, don't seem to have found a different way to approach T20 cricket. We're saying that, and we heard from Ashwin, and that's when I got thinking. Ashwin said a very interesting thing. He said that, because someone brought up what this former player had said, and he said, people and analysts don't even have a clue of how this T20 game is evolving, because some of them have not even played, and it's moving at such a rapid pace that people are not realizing how to analyze it. So some people will say, oh, the new way is to get 200 runs. Some people say, no, the new way is to play. He said nobody really knows the new way, and I think he's bang on right. I think nobody has really figured out this game or how this game is to be played better than Surya Kumar Yadav. So I think it's not madness. We keep talking about that method to that madness. So T20 is not about madness. It's about skill. And what he has done, I think what differentiates him from everyone else is score runs. That means big hit big shots, be aggressive, try and whack it outside the stadium. What he's tried to do is, what you need to do is have special skills to succeed in this T20 format. It's not about big hitter. So you just can't be a Shahid Afridi because he's a big hitter, or a Chris Gale or anyone, and think that you
No.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that just be a big hitter, someone who clears the ground, and I'll be successful at T20 cricket. No, maybe you need to develop a certain set of skills to be very successful in T20 cricket. And I think he's forcing us to think on those lines and actually even assess ourselves or how we look at that sport. And if we really need to figure out how this game is evolving and which is the right way to call it, maybe we need to look at Surya Kumar Yadav a bit more carefully.
Absolutely. And not too long ago, before Surya Kumar Yadav arrived into the scene, in fact, Surya Kumar Yadav had arrived into the scene, there was one more batsman who at that time was the best batsman in the world, at least in this format or in white ball format. That was Joss Butler. He's struggling. Huh?
Yeah. But tell me one thing. Who is that one English player who's in form? Because I keep saying that they're all great shakes, great batsmen, all of that. Yes, but I haven't seen massive scores. I think Alex Hales is the leading run getter.
Exactly, he's the only one.
125 runs. Imagine. But you also have to consider. I agree. 125. One of the of course they had a washout in that game against Australia. Then rest. I think
they lost to Ireland.
So I agree. Their batting must be underconfident. And are you expecting any changes? Because I don't know. I have this gut feeling that we might see a change in one of the bowlers. Now, Nikhil would say he's back to his favorite topic, but I don't know. I have a gut feeling.
That Yuzi Chahal?
Yuzi Chahal?
No, not even Yuzi Chahal. I think
You're talking about a change in the England line?
No, in the Indian.
Alright.
Maybe a Yuzi Chahal or Harshal Patel. I know it's a big risk, especially in a semi-final game. You've maintained a consistency as far as your 11 is concerned, and suddenly you make a change in the playing 11 in a semi-final game again. That too against England with the square boundaries shorter than what they were in Melbourne, Sydney.
But I get that you got in Pant the game before the semi-final because you wanted to give him some game time for the England game, but you didn't do that for Chahal. Now for a player who's not been in form, who's not been among the wickets, you just throw him into the semi-final.
I understand it's a risk. But maybe this Indian team might just want to take that risk. Bring in a Chahal or even a Harshal Patel. I'm saying even a Harshal Patel. No. Chances are less. I understand. The chances are.
No, I'll tell you why. See what we've seen with this Indian team. I'm taking you back to the Asia Cup. That they believe so much in matchups mostly, and the team combination, as in the balance. That to make one change, they sometimes end up doing a few more changes. If you remember when Jadeja went out, they actually didn't want to play Akshar because Akshar had just landed. So because of that, they had to make 2-3 changes to just ensure that they get the balance right. So that's the precarious situation in the Indian team is in at the moment. Now, to get Yuzi Chahal in, they will have to make a few changes. Though I don't necessarily agree with what the Indian team is saying. But the messaging that is coming from Indian team is that, listen, we cannot not have a decent bat at number 8. We need some cushion, and probably they've been vindicated with that because Ashwin has played 2 crucial bits, one against Pakistan where, it was all about 2-3 balls, but they, there was his contribution with the bat. Then he got some important runs in the other game. That was Bangladesh, right? Where he got a few runs at the end. So, which made a bit of a difference. So, I think that way the Indian team has been vindicated with this thought. I don't necessarily agree with it. Now, what happens as soon as you bring in a Yuzi Chahal, let's say for either Akshar or Ashwin, in team's mind, again, as I repeat, I'm not saying that necessarily is true. In the Indian team's mind, they feel that they're going in a bit thin with their batting getting over at number 6 or 7 or whatever. So that is unfortunate. That is unfortunate that one of the best T20 bowlers in the world and one of the best leg spinners in this format in the world is having to sit out.
Absolutely.
He consistently is one of the highest wicket takers. But I think because the team is looking at that balance, that is why they are not. Now, the only way a Yuzi Chahal then comes in is if you bring in a Harshal Patel. Now, Harshal Patel then brings you that question. So, assuming you want some sort of batting at 8 and you don't think Bhuvneshwar is good enough, Harshal becomes that guy then at number 8. In which case, then you can go in with a Yuzi Chahal.
Harshal or Yuzi Chahal might just come into the playing 11. That's my. I don't know.
But just Harshal. But Harshal comes in. Just Harshal for whom? Harshal for whom? Who would you want to?
And one spinner.
Oh no! Yeah, I doubt they'll go with just one spinner.
I know it's Adelaide.
In Adelaide.
No, never know. Or maybe a Yuzi Chahal. I think the Indian team wants to be safe than sorry. Ashwin may not get them wickets, but they're saying he's very this thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't go for too many runs. Although lately both
Akshar
and Ashwin are being are being clobbered for runs now. But fair enough. I think they'll go now that they have selected a team. I remember during that last tour when India went to England, everybody wanted Ashwin to play in the 11, but Virat insisted and persisted with just one left arm spinner in Ravi Jadeja. That's it. And he eventually, the result was that India were ahead in that series when that tour ended midway. So fair enough. Tomorrow, if the Indian team wins the T20 World Cup, I think
they'll stand vindicated.
Everybody is going to say, what captaincy from Rohit Sharma, what planning,
coaching from Rahul Dravid.
Rahul Dravid. So that is all what matters. I think Nikhil, we'll have to let you go because this free wala Zoom link, I think has expired or is about to expire.
Yeah, it would be. I don't know if you guys, before I go, I don't know if you have checked it out. If you haven't, check it out on social media. Alex Hales, when he got runs the last time, came for that interview, and guess who was there at the interview? There was Ian Ward interviewing him.
Okay.
Next to him was Owen Morgan,
Oh, yes.
and you know
Yes.
the two of them don't share a great relationship.
Yeah.
He
Anymore,
was out
yeah.
of the team, and Owen Morgan didn't want him.
Didn't even look at
He
him.
did that entire 7-8 minute interview. Imagine 2 interviewers, and he's there. He didn't even look at Owen Morgan for
Yeah.
1 second. Not even looked at him for 1 second. So Ian Ward asked him all the questions. He kept answering him. And Owen Morgan standing next to him didn't even like glance at him even for 1 second. So talk about frosty relations. So check that out if you haven't had a time.
In England, I think they make it very evident. Be it Moeen Ali
Yeah.
talking about Joe Root or Alistair Cook.
No, it's Cook, I think, not
Because,
Root.
yeah, during that commentary stint that Moeen Ali did, they make it very evident. Unlike the Indians, who are very, despite the fact, even if they think otherwise,
They'll
for a
just be
player
like,
of the
no,
camera,
no,
they'll
no,
be,
no.
They're not like, Indians will be very nice, sweet on the face and
Yeah.
Paji, best friend, this, that, hug each other.
Hey, these are all cricketing talks. Give us some goss from Adelaide.
Nothing, no goss, nothing at all. The team has reached here. I was lucky enough to bump into our skipper Rohit Sharma. He was running. I saw him. I said, "Where
He
are you
was
going?"
running?
So we exchanged.
I mean-
we exchanged a fist bump, Rohit,
Okay.
at the airport.
Okay.
So he said nothing. I had gone to get food for my daughter. So the team has all checked in and sitting in the aircraft. I had to go get some food because kids food is sometimes hard to get by, and kids can be very picky. So poor guy had to run. So he's on baby duties here as well, as most fathers are wherever they are. He may be the captain of the Indian team. When it comes to your kid, you have to do the running around. So that's what.
Journalists should also be allowed to go with their wags, no?
Who?
Journalists, traveling media.
Yeah, no, not possible. No, Wags won't like to be on tour with journalists because cricketers' schedules are, there like match day, this time report, go here, play this. Practice day, such and such day, go and do this. Most days are
No, but
anyway optional
it has
practice.
happened in the
And
past.
other days
No,
there is no practice. So
No.
free days are free days.
I
For
know,
journalists,
I
there is
know.
no free days. You don't give us free time any day. So
Nikhil, I
what
know,
are
I
Wags?
know a few journalists who have travelled with their not wags but only wives. One of them is actually
Journalists.
Yeah, one of them is actually sitting right inside that apartment where you're staying.
He's gone to sleep. He's very tired today.
Ah.
So he's called it a night very early.
No,
No,
I
but
can't
that was
believe-
very long ago. I think
2003.
2003 you're talking about.
Yeah,
That one.
2003.
After that, I don't think he ever did.
Maybe his wife would have said no, that I'm not traveling anymore.
I don't blame her.
Yeah.
Because there is no time to give wives or girlfriend anything if you're a television journalist, because you barely get time to be even on the phone and ask what's happening there. So I don't blame. The wives and girlfriends of journalists should surely not want to travel. And even if they travel once, they'll never want to travel again. I'm sure. 100%.
True. Chalo, anyways, I think let's call it a night. Must be pretty late over there, and you need to wake up early because tomorrow, by the way, the Indian team has a practice.
It's practicing.
Yeah.
So I think you guys will be there, giving us all the latest updates. Who all turned up for the practice, except for Surya Kumar Yadav, as Nikhil said. Unlikely, Surya Kumar Yadav for that practice session.
Yeah.
So do join us tomorrow again, and also subscribe to Sports Today because we'll get you all the latest updates from Adelaide, where all the